Hello and welcome once again to another Nijigasaki review, this time for episode 6. I'm Callan.
And I'm Honey Panda Bunny. Overall, I really enjoyed this episode. It's probably been my favourite so far. I know I keep saying that every new episode. Rina's anxiety here came off really realistic, and even the moments like when she was in the box, it still felt very serious and like there was a heavy weight there.
Rina-chan bored? Thumbs up. This was a really strong episode, I thought. It was a really good episode for Rina. For a lot of people who watch this series, I think it will resonate for a lot of people. This episode does deal with anxiety, which is something that a lot of people deal with daily. It was a really good episode. There was some really highlight scenes. We see how Rina is uncomfortable with communicating with others. Compared to the previous episode with Emma and Karen, which had been simmering in the background. For the most part, I would say it introduced its issue and then also resolved it. But it was balanced very well. And I found that when we were watching it the second time, this breezed by. It had a really nice flow to the story. The scene with Rina in the classroom with her classmates was a great way of introducing that Rina is that very shy and introverted individual. Although I do wish that throughout the episode they'd gone a little bit more into her backstory as to why she's unable to express emotions properly. But it was a really great scene, I thought.
I really liked the premise with the beginning with the girls. They were all very cute and polite and really sweet, but we still see Rina try and have this honest attempt at communicating, and yet struggling despite this. Even though the girls aren't being dismissive of her, she's still having this trouble to communicate, which is still really realistic to what it feels like in real life.
Rina tries in this scene, but just due to her anxiety, she backs out and she wants to join in their fun just due to her ability. And then we see it in the scene where she's looking into her reflection. To her, she just sees her cold, still face and she tries to draw on the smile. And then this plays off really nicely in the next scene where we see Rina's first meeting with Ai.
We see Ai being able to be a really nice support role here and be able to extend her help with Rina. So Ai's whole wanting to be an idol is being able to help others and being able to help them have fun and smile. And this works really well off with Rina, who is having trouble being able to have fun and smile and communicate with people. And this is the first time that Rina says, oh, this was the first time I was able to communicate with someone.
I love their dynamic in this episode because it's very different from Emma and Karen's, which is more intimate. Theirs is more a supportive and traditional friendship, and it just serves as a nice contrast to the previous one. In the previous episode, that you could call it an Emma and Karen episode, but this is very clearly a Rina episode, with Ai just offering very strong support. Their friendship is not the story of this episode, but it complements the Rina's social anxiety storyline. And Ai does help her come to her resolution at the end of the episode, but she isn't the sole reason. She's just the major voice of the group.
So then we move on to this VR game in Joyopolis, where they're having a shooter in this VR room and shooting these Kotoris.
They kill a bunch of Kotoris, yeah.
Which is really fun. We get to see Yu and Ayumu interact as friends, so Yu's quite scaredy cat, and then Ayumu offers a help, whereas with Rina and Ai, we get to see them work really well as a team. Contrast those friendships as well.
There's actually a really nice reference to the Famitsu 4 comas, because the trio is Ayumu, Ai, and Rina, and obviously Yu tags along. It's at the end of that scene where Rina's classmates, the ones that she's been trying to engage with, in that conversation, they start fangirling all the girls. They're all, oh, Ai, you're so cool. Oh, Ayumi,
I wonder if
we'll
see the Ai fan club in this version of the anime.
There's a good chance it could happen.
But yeah, it was nice to be able to see her kind of like interact with these girls, or attempt to interact with these girls again.
Well, they're a big fan of Rina as well, because they mention her VR cat mascot, which we'll see throughout the episode, which she used for her promo, and that's so cute, Rina, you did such a good job. And then they also mentioned that at this game centre, which is the Joy Palace, they mentioned that school idols have been performing here. And there's actually a reference to a Shino Mine Academy, and that's the one that Kanata and her little sister Haruka were previously at, which has a nice bit of story for the potentially next
episode,
time.
Yeah. They discuss about these idols, and then Rina on her own decides, I'm going to have my first live here at Joyopolis, the place where she's come to be friends with Ai, and where she's trying to connect with new people, and now she wants to spread that connection with others. It feels like the perfect place to pick for Rina.
I do really like, in this episode, they portray Rina as wanting to take the initiative. She's the one that suggests wanting to do her first concert. She's also the one that is pushing for her to improve. also comes full circle at the end of the episode as well. So Rina puts her idea to the rest of the club, and naturally they all want to support her. And as well, because of Rina's unassuredness, she's worried about her performance, that it won't be strong. She calls on the club to assist her, and naturally they offer her support. And then we cut to the training where we see that Rina's increased her flexibility. We see that as well Shizuku is in charge of vocal training. We see Kasumi struggling, we see Kanata falling asleep, they do some MC training with the rest of the girls. Rina finds this one as well quite difficult, and Setsuna suggests, oh well, you don't necessarily have to do MC, you don't have to communicate with the audience if you don't want to. But Rina says, no, I want this to be part of my performance.
When we've seen with Setsuna, her whole goal was to be able to inspire people and give them the determination to do what they want. Rina is inspired by Setsuna's performance along with Ai, and that's why they become school idols. And then we see this conversation go on between the two of them. It feels like Setsuna can't help but just smile about it because Rina's actually trying to go ahead.
At the end of that scene, Rina wants to show off the visuals that she's creating for her concert, and she invites them to come to her house. In Honamaru's voice, Mirai Zora, she can control the door to her apartment. Everything. She has a camera built into her phone. She is very tech savvy. And we even see it that when we step inside and her setup is this lavish and very expensive equipment. Tech is obviously Rina's specialty.
And it was really nice to be able to see that.
During that scene that Rina opens up to them a little bit, where she mentions, oh, I grew up, struggle to connect with people. I want to make friends, but I can't really. I would have liked if in the episode they'd gone a bit more into her backstory, because in the Bond stories, we know that due to her parents always working, Rina has grown up very isolated, and that's reached the point where she struggles to smile, she struggles to portray emotions.
It was really nice because we get to see that she works really, really hard. Seeing her trying to try and seeing her getting so upset was something that really resonated with me. This idea of being alone but still trying to work hard, whether she's working hard to trying to improve to smile or working hard via her equipment. We get to see that she is a hard worker. She did this video of her MC all on her own with this little cat-like VTuber, so we get to see that she has all of these skills that we've just not been able to see yet, and that I don't even think she realises she has yet.
I really like that when Rina gets out of her chair, you see that she genuinely is trying her best to thank them for everything they've done. She genuinely is so grateful for everything that the club has done for her. And it ends with Ai giving her a big hug, because naturally Ai is the one who is able to read Rina the most of them, Rina training. And I feel that this is now becoming a staple of this series. We're always seeing montages, seemingly. And we get to see Rina dancing, and she's very cute. We see that Rina's actually promoting her live with the mascot. We see that there are people in the school, and they're watching Little Cat saying, oh, the concert's coming soon. Something really cool about this one compared to the previous songs that we've heard is, this is going to be the actual concert. This is going to be an actual live. What we see is essentially what is generally happening, which is really cool. Rina at this point is feeling fairly confident. She's improved her dancing, her visuals are looking spot on, and she wants to try again when her classmates approach her. Just as she's about to connect, as she's always wanted to do, catches in the corner of her eye her reflection. And this is something that plays throughout the episode, is this idea of Rina's reflection. Her face is that cold, still, no emotion. For Rina, this
overwhelms her.
Yes, it reaches a point where she breaks down in a way and runs away. I would have liked a little bit more from the girls' side, because the girls are very nice, they're very accommodating.
They're polite, yeah.
Rina is seemingly saying, oh, never mind. They're always...
Which could be seen as quite rude.
Yes, but they're always like, oh, Rina-chan, almost as if they want to help her. I didn't want the girls to be portrayed as malicious, because that's not Love Live. Love Live is never cynical. But I would have liked maybe something from their perspective where they say, oh, we want Rina in our friend circle, but she never seems to want to be with her. It could be that they feel, oh, she's too cold, that we just can't get through to her. But at the same time, anxiety is more about what the person is feeling of themselves rather than others. I'd have just maybe liked a little bit more here. The scene has a really nice transition where, as Rina's running away, Kasumi and Setsuna call out to her, and visually you see her close the door on this aspect of her life, and she closes in on herself. She's in her room, it's dark, you see that she's hiding away, just the light of the screen monitor with her cat icon.
What she wants to be, but it just seems unachievable.
Yes, it's a very depressing low point of the story. Rina's not been turning up for training. The rest of the club is naturally worried about her. They all want to give their support, so they rally and they go to see her at her apartment. I naturally leading the charge, but this is clearly a group effort, which I very appreciate. Eventually, Rina opens the door for them. They come up to the top. They can go to her apartment, and Rina's obviously been playing too much Metal Gear Solid. This scene is supposed to be funny because the way Kasumi reacts, and I did find it funny, but it did throw me off initially. When the dialogue started, I was instantly pulled back in, but there was just that slight disconnect for me at the start.
For me, it didn't really pull me out of the scene because when you're upset, you want to be somewhere that's safe for you, and I know this sounds really strange. Like you mentioned in her Bond story, her family aren't around, so she's probably found her only way where she can feel enclosed and happy, where she can kind of hide herself away, but still be able to express herself when needs be, which is obviously in that box.
Despite all my slight niggles, this scene was really, really strong for Rina, I thought. She goes into her childhood, that she wants to change, and then she thought that when she got to high school, that she would be able to change again. And then she meets Ai, and she encounters school idols, and they're this wondrous thing, and that she feels that this can inspire the change that she's always wanted, the ability to connect to people. But it's always reached a point where it's always pulled back her anxiety, and I really like that it's such a subtle bit of storytelling, but it just feels that Rina's been worn down by this. She keeps trying, but despite all her efforts, they seemingly are in vain.
Here we get to see quite a mature side for Ai. She sits down, she asks Rina what is wrong, and they all just sit and they listen to her. And this is really what Rina needs. She just wants to speak her mind and be able to communicate with people. You're just there to listen. And Rina was able to get her heart out and be able to connect through them through this. And then they all, one by one, tell her, but there's so many things that you're good at. You might not be able to do this one thing, but why should that negate all the other things that you can do? They all, one by one, talk about this.
It's a very genuine and realistic feeling, and I thought it was portrayed really well here. Rina reaches her breaking point, and they all offer their support, and I really like the bit with Shizuku starts to compliment her, and then Rina goes, oh no, but then she continues. And I thought Kasumi, little bit of maturity here, was really, really good, as well as she sits down and she tells her the best idols, they turn their weaknesses into strengths, which I think is led into, at the end, Rina makes her decision.
We also see Ai get annoyed and be like, oh, I want to tell her good things, and just hugs the box. It felt like such a powerful moment for the group. It really felt they're all there to support each other. They're all there for each other, and it's felt like a lot of camaraderie here.
I do think that throughout the episode you do see how supportive the group is of each other, which I feel is more noticeable here than in the previous two groups.
And after this, she comes to the conclusion, after Setsuna says, oh, this is the first time you've been able to talk to us about how you really feel. Clicks for Rina, and she goes, oh, I can still express my feelings, but I just need to hide away a little bit for my own comfort. That's when she stands up from the box and she realises, and we finally get the first rendition of the Rina-chan board, but in digital version.
Day of the Live comes, and it's so cool that this music video is essentially happening, rather than the fictionalised version that we used to sing in the previous ones. Rina's classmates are here, and they're not put off by Rina in the slightest. They're all here to support her. I really love the scene just as before Rina's starting, and it's just a small scene. It's all the girls, and they're all just wishing her luck. It's just amazingly how supportive they are, and it's a quick scene, but really, really good. And the introduction to Rina is great. We initially see on the screen, there's Rina's VR cat mascot, which is really cute. Under the background, we hear Analog Heart playing, which was my favourite Rina song. The outfit reveal is great as well. The panels open up, and the cinematography here is really nice with the cuts, until finally it focuses on Rina's face, and we see the board for the first time, and it lights up.
Yeah, she looks down at the floor, and then she smiles. And you can feel, and you know that she's smiling behind this board too. You can't help but have this grin on her face. It makes you so happy.
It has a nice symmetry with the scene at the start of the episode with her looking at her reflection and drawing on the smile. It's the stone face, but then it quietly shifts to the smile. I actually really like that there's not a sound effect there. It just makes it so much more natural. And then we start her song, Tsunagaru Connect. This is a really good song. It is now my new favourite Rina song. She sounds so good here. It is clear, it is lovely, she's so bouncy and cute. And when I was watching it, I noticed some similarities with the Muteki Q Believer video, such as when she's playing the grabber machine and trying to get the bird icon. And indeed it is a Deco 27 song, which is one of your favourites.
So I've always loved Vocaloid, which has Deco 27 do a lot of the posing for those as well. And then it was great to have them come over to Love Live and compose these songs too. It really made me feel this joy for both of them. I really loved the song. It was bouncy, it was cute, it was everything that Rina is. I like the little puns with the Control Z, and it almost felt like her and I worked on this song together to make it Rina's version of fun. Worked really well. I even like that she's wearing the outfit that her VTuber cat mascot is wearing as well. It all worked together really, really well. Themes that we saw in, like you said, Muteki Q Believer with the rainbows, and also with it being on this stage, we also get to see her do her little Doki Pipo run that she does in her MV for that as well, where she's got her hands behind, and it was really nice to see whether it be her old Doki Pipo emotion.
Her movements in this performance they're so animated. Her movements are all adorable. The Rina-chan board is so great and so unique for Rina. It shifts to different faces, and it's got the cutesy little ones, and it's got the criteria ones, and it just adds something so much, and there's so many great facials there. I love the scene with the dresses where Rina is on the board and it's cutting to her outfits. I did find that the cutaway visuals were not as important, but it didn't feel they were designed to be important. It felt the focus, which was what was performing on stage, and what was on stage was really solid. Her vocal performance was great, the choreography was great, the colours, the brightness, it was really strong performance, and I absolutely loved it.
Going back to those cutaways, they are showing Rina's emotions, but a lot of them are embarrassed, which is what she mentions, that she's embarrassed that she's unable to connect with people, and her smile is through her performance, which is the most important part, as you said.
Everyone congratulates her on a job well done, and we get our first Rina-chan board comment.
Teehee.
Afterwards, we see her back at her class with her classmates, and they're all approaching her. They're all, "Oh, Rina, we want to talk to you about your performance over lunch." Rina looks at her bag, she pulls out her notebook, and she draws on it, and we get to see for the first time the paper version of the Rina-chan board. And it's so nice that in this continuity, she's the one that made the decision.
She picked it. It was hers and hers alone. She gave it to herself, and in extent, the group also kind of gave it to her. They said that we're going to support you and that you can honestly do what you want to do.
Rina has such agency in her own story, and I think the strongest characters will always be the one who makes that step forward rather than have other people encourage them to make that step. And then on the next time, it's Kanata's episode. I feel like Kanata's been the character that's done the least in these first 6 episodes. You could also say the same of Shizuku, but at least in the first 2 episodes they've teased her storyline with her drama club president, hoping that this next episode can help remedy some of that. I want to see Kanata be more involved in the story.
As you've said before, her sister is such a big part of her character. That will give her more character as well. They're siblings and she wants to support her. That I think we will see that characterization come forward.
And we do see that Haruka will be in the next episode, which is really cool. I always like when they build up at like a side cast to these love lives. Thank you for listening to us ramble once again about the Nijigasaki girls.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.